What's up, my friends? It's Camiel Daamen, your online Ableton certified trainer. And today I'm back with another tutorial, but also, of course, my glasses, because my other glasses are for repair. So I'm going to sit here with my sunglasses on, showing you some sound design. Because, you know, in Ableton 12, we have a really cool option to make super cool sounds. And today I'll be using drift, and I have this sound here, which is a bass. And actually, it's funny, if you have a bass like this, which is like a saw wave with a sine wave, and it's quite short. You see a little bit of attack, and it's not really long. If I hold a note, you know, if I have the release quite back, so it's a short sound. But the funny thing is, if you have a bass like this with like a filter envelope, which means the filter is a little bit closed, and the envelope 2 is actually controlling the frequency. So every time I press a note, it goes up and down like pow, pow, right? That's called a filter envelope. This is the amplitude envelope. This is the filter envelope, right? And if I would like make this longer, you can hear it pow. Every time I hit a note, it follows this envelope of the filter. Let's go down, right? And the funny thing is, now it's a bass. But if you make this longer and you play, for instance, like a higher octave, or you play a chord, it's a chord. So basically, you can make, if you use these filter envelopes, you can make these cool like chords, and you can also make, you know, if you add like a delay to it, let's say, right? Super easy. So basically, if you have like a nice sound with a filter envelope, if you play it low and it's a short, it's a bass. If you play it higher and you have the longer decay on the filter envelope, it's, well, you can also make it short. That's very cool. You can also do the attack. You can also put the attack a little bit open. Really cool sounds. Anyway, we're working on the bass. And I made a little bass pattern here. You can see the notes, you can see the envelopes, and this is what I want to talk about today. Like, how can you actually make an interesting bass? So basically, if we would open up drift, we can look at the bass, and we can look at the envelopes. And for everything we touch here, this low pass frequency or this, you see here it changes in the automation. So this means that per note, we can say, oh, maybe I want to have this decay, for instance, open up a little bit on this note. So I can take my pencil and make this even, right? Make it a little bit more higher there, or click on the filter and automate the filter differently. So for each note, it's going to be a little bit different. And that way you create, right? You can make all kinds of ideas here, and it's really cool because this way you can click on the parameter and automate the parameter. Before we didn't have this. We either had like clip view here or device view here. This is device view. This is clip view. We could switch between this, but now we have this little arrow here, and now we can actually create way more interesting patterns. Right? If you want to copy it, that works the same. You can just select this, press Command D, copy it, or, you know, do anything cool that you want. And it goes for everything. If I click on the decay here, or I click on the attack, I click on anything, basically what I want. And if I want to have more resonance here, I can say, whoop, more resonance here, more resonance here. Doesn't do anything. You don't really hear the difference on that one. But, you know, you can do all kinds of different ideas. Maybe a low pass, of a high pass. Right here, you can see it's a lot. Taking all the low end. So this is really handy. If you have like some sort of like idea, you can play around with it. You can hear the oscillator gain. You can change the detune. Let's say we want to make slightly detune it a little bit. You can even change the shape, make a little bit of modulation over time. Here the same, whatever. That's maybe a lot, but if we take it away and we just use different values, you can make really cool variations and really dynamic kind of bass lines like this, So this is nice for your bass, but remember you can do this on any sound basically. If it would be a long chord, you can also say, oh, I want to have the decay of that long chord over time changing, There's a lot of different applications that you can use to make your sounds change. So let's look at that. Let's say we're going to take all these notes, we're going to delete them, and instead we're going to make like a nice little chord, maybe a little bit higher. Let's make a minor chord here, minor E chord, and make that super long, or maybe make 2. So now, and actually the envelopes are still there. If we go here, we can see all our envelopes are still there. So if we delete those for all of them, whoop. And delete all of those guys. Here the high pass I had. And the low pass, bye. And the low pass, and we say bye. So now we have this, right? And if we put the frequency a little bit more, maybe a little bit more. Right, so we have this. That's cool. So let's say we're going to go to our envelopes and say, okay, we want to control the frequency over time. We can go into the clip automation here and say we want to control frequency over time. Even though we have an envelope, we can still control that. You can also make it more step by step, right? You can say, oh, I want to have this. I want to do more of a stutter kind of effect, like more LFO-y kind of stuff, but you can control the LFO when it does what, It's really cool. Here. And you get like sort of like these Tantra effects, If you know the plugin called Tantra, it's a lot like step. Right, we can do this with the shape as well to create some more additional movement on our pad there. Right, and just make little tiny changes which are super cool. Right, so this is a really cool way to create sounds and to make your sounds a little bit more dynamic and more interesting. Just like last week's episode on panning, this is also a really cool way to create like more dynamic sounds. So not only your hi-hats are dynamic going left and right, but also your bass lines get a little bit brighter, a little bit taller, a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. Anything movement on your sounds will create more dynamic effect and will create more engaging music, like more music that your brain likes to listen to, because there's so much things happening. If you do this like in a subtle and nice way, you actually get like super interesting music without a lot of stuff happening. You can listen to some beats in this chord, for instance, for a long time if you make these subtle little changes with for instance the shape that I did here, or with the filter, and the more you know about sound design, the more you can actually use the different parameters. If you're interested in learning more about sound design, I have a sound design bootcamp course, which is 4 weeks. It's 2 hours per week for 4 weeks in a row, where we're going to make a track with one synthesizer for 4 weeks. Every week, one track. If you do this, even if you follow my bootcamp or not, if you do this for yourself, you look up some tutorials on how to make sounds, and you make all the sounds from scratch, from kick, hi-hat, clap, snare, bass, pads, chords, leads, anything, you will learn really, really fast because, it's like an exercise. If you're a golf player and, you want to get better at finishing the putting game, you do putting for like a month and you focus on that particular skill to get better at it. And yeah, with music making, music production, it's really the same. If you want to get better at something, you just got to practice that particular thing. And it's a lot of fun because once you know how to sound design, you can actually, maybe sometimes you don't have to look for a preset. You just know how to make something yourself. And that's really rewarding. And it's a nice way of spending your time when doing music production. We don't always want to create like a full track or getting a new sample pack and making something like a track. Maybe you don't have feel it at that moment, or you're not in a good moment at that moment just to create something. Then it's really nice to say, you know what, today I'm going to use the concept. I'm going to make one track with one synth. It's really going to help your progression as an artist and as a music producer. Anyway, if you like what I do, please like and subscribe to the channel, and follow lessonsinlife.com if you want to learn more about my courses or my private teachings and mentorship. I have merchandise. The link is below. If you want a nice cup for the studio, or you want a nice fancy shirt with my logo, that would be great. You'll be supporting my brand and supporting my school and what I do, so I can continue making these tutorials and bringing some music production joy to the world. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you at the next one.